tomorrow on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Tia Graham. And the Detroit Symphony Orchestra has released its first album in nearly a decade. It's common for major orchestras to release music. Maybe not so common is for new orchestral releases to end up on a turntable. In addition to CDs, the orchestra has teamed up with Jack White's Third Man Records to press this latest release of vinyl. It's called Blues Symphony, a multiple movement piece composed by Wynton Marsalis. It was recorded live at Orchestra Hall last year. WDET's Ryan Patrick Hooper talked with DSO President Eric Ronmark about the release. Throughout this interview, you'll hear selections from the recording of the Blues Symphony.
So this was sort of a project of love. When we talked to Yader, our music director, about what will be the first recording, he has a real interest in jazz. And we have such a rich recorded legacy. When you have an orchestra as old as ours, you're coming up on all these milestones. And in a few years, in 28, we have 100 years of recorded music. We recorded our first shellac, 78, back in 1928, in Orchestra Hall, with our music director at the time. So you look back at this recorded legacy, sort of how do you want to make a, first impression with Yader and this orchestra, the way they're playing, the type of music that they can play, because they can play anything, and this is not easy stuff, just stylistically too. Wynton writes amazing music, but it's complex. You sort of have to understand that history. And at the same time, Orchestra Hall, where our first recording was made, where this recording was made, has its own legacy, right? And it was Paradise Jazz Theater in the 40s. So we wanted to also pay tribute to that. So when you put all these things together, it just seemed like, the perfect recording coming together. Wynton was involved in this project. He listened to all the concerts, gave notes. He was involved in the editing process. He is super excited about this release. So we wanted to sort of go all out. I've collected records my whole life. Vinyl is suddenly coming back, but so then we felt if we're going to do something like that, we got to partner with someone local, right? And Third Man is just up the street from us, and Judah Bowman did an amazing cover for this. So when we had our sort of unofficial release party, the actual recording and CD and all the streaming will be out on March 14th, but we had a little preview last week at Third Man, and it was just an amazing atmosphere, and so proud of the staff and the orchestra and everyone who really poured their hearts into this one. It's a great piece.
Is this the first proper release from the DSO? Did I hear you correctly?
It's the first one with our new music director.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have, going back, to the 20s, that's when we first started. Really heyday in the 50s with our music director, Paul Poret, at the time on Mercury Living Presence. And then, of course, we did recordings, through the 70s with Antal Dorati and Neme Järvi, who was a music director, huge output. And even with Leonard Slatkin, our most recent music director, we did some recordings on Naxos. But this is the first one with Yader, and it's really special.
You talked a little bit about Blues Symphony itself, but can you go into what made this the right thing to release and what people are going to be hearing when they check this out?
Yeah, the way that Wynton sort of looked at this piece was in several movements throughout the work, really taking different time periods of the blues and how it's evolved. He's an amazing, composer, orchestrator, so he has taken all this material, really highlighting and tracking the history of the blues through the 20th century and put it in an orchestral form. And so it's a virtuosic piece, big orchestra, and they just sound fantastic.
And like the best releases, there's a ton of information about the recording, the project itself, all the stuff that people would want to know when it comes down to this. Tell me about what the mission is going to be moving forward. Are we going to see more projects like this with Third Man or anything like this for the DSO? Is this the beginning of kind of a new era of recorded releases for you guys?
That's sort of the way that I like to look at this. We have Yoder at the artistic helm. We obviously have an amazing artistic leadership with Enrico Lopez-Llanes as our principal pops conductor. We have Terence Blanchard as our jazz chair. And when I look at where we are now as an orchestra, and really thinking about Yoder and his artistic vision for what this orchestra can be, and it's always been a fantastic orchestra, right? We're the fourth oldest in the U.S. We have that history. But then you get someone like him, and we want to support his mission. And recordings, of course, it's an investment, both financially and just to put this all together. But they are still really important. It's sort of your business card in this industry. It's a way to really highlight what this orchestra can do and send it out to the world. It's more than just sort of capturing a moment in time. It's sort of how do you put this in context of our legacy, but also really showing what this orchestra can do right now. So the plan for releasing this vinyl is also to build support for future recording projects. We've already captured 1 week in the fall. We're going to do another one here in June. We have a couple of weeks next year as well that we're going to capture. So there's going to be more recordings. Maybe not all of them will be released on vinyl. That's my dream. But we're certainly going to do much more of this.
Eric Ronmark, always a pleasure to be hanging out with the music man from the DSO. Thank you for coming on WDET.
Thanks, Ryan.
That was Eric Ronmark, the president of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, speaking with the WDET's Ryan Patrick Hooper about the orchestra's latest release, Blues Symphony, including a limited edition vinyl release pressed by Jack White's Third Man Records. And to add a note, the Detroit Symphony Orchestra is a financial supporter of WDET.
From the WDET newsroom, Detroit City Football Club plans to move out of Hamtramck's Keyworth Stadium and into a new Corktown playing ground in 2027. The team bought the vacant Southwest Detroit Hospital near Michigan Avenue and I-75 last year. Co-owner Alex Wright says they expect to break ground this summer. The Detroit Brownfield Redevelopment Authority recently voted to reimburse the club's demolition costs over 21 years. Wright says the new stadium could hold up to 15,000 fans.
Wow. Coming up at 11. That's pretty significant, Robin.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Coming up at 11, Detroit's transit options are very fragmented. There's the People Mover and, of course, the Q Line and various bus systems controlled by different entities. We'll discuss why that is, and we do want to hear from you. What would convince you to take public transit in Detroit, and what do the city and the suburbs need to create for you to step onto a bus or rail line? We'll take your calls. The number is 313-577-1019. And up next, Mayor Duggan gave his 12th and final State of the City address last night at the site of the Hudson Building. We'll hear about what he had to say coming up next.